I've got some seriously nifty way of getting a tape delay live while it's going down. Hey guys, Andy Pickering here. On today's video, we're going to be going back to the 4-track and recording a cover version of a song that I really love and used to play in my old band called Heart and Soul. Little clip of it here. Heart and soul, I beg to be adored. Yes, and I lost control. This is a classic Doo Wop era, 50s and early 60s kind of tune that I know from the American Graffiti soundtrack, which is like one of my all-time favourite films. And we used to cover it in the Telmos set, often as an encore, and we'd do a proper high-charged power pop version of it, you know, not in a doo-wop style at all. So when we were recording our first EP, which was mostly recorded in rehearsal rooms, we've got an outtake of a quick run through of Heart and Soul, which I always intended to do a fun little version, just like I'm going to do today, on the 4-track, and I never did it, basically. Now, the drums sound pretty terrible because the room on that day was just, we've got a bad room. The drum kit sounds really boxy, or the snare, like, it wasn't that great, and that's one of the reasons why I never really got around to doing it, because the drums didn't really sound that good. But I thought, why not just do this for a video? It could be great. So I've got the drums, which are digital. We're going to go down onto the 4-track, and then we're going to go step by step of how I'm going to build this up into kind of like a mash between power pop and trying to stick to some authentic 1950s stuff. I'm going to be going all mono on this, you know, just as, like I say, authentic and old school as I possibly can try and get it. And it's going to be, you know, mixed onto the reel-to-reel and using all analog effects. Okay, so here's the original drum track. So we've got a room, a kick, a snare, a left and a right, but the left and the right are just going to be straight down the middle because I'm summing this all to mono onto one track, onto the 4-track. There's no plugins running on any of this whatsoever, and I'm basically got an insert, which is a send and receive on the back just there, and that's coming through the EQ to tame a lot of the really harshness. This is a really terrible sounding drum track, as I said in the intro. There's so many really nasty highs going on. Great drummer, Ed was a great drummer, but yeah, it was never meant to be a serious really recording at the time anyway, so I'm taming it with this, which is, it's doing a great job really, because, you know, I'm polishing a turd. Essentially, and then I'm compressing it, and it's going dry onto track 1. I'm later, when I do my first bounce, going to put reverb on it with the other things to create the illusion that they're all sharing the same echo space and they're, you know, gonna glue together, hopefully. So yeah, here's the drums. See, it's coming through just there. Compressor's working down there on it, and yeah, it's as good as I can possibly get it, and that's going on to 1, which I'll do now. Okay, so that is recorded onto track 1. That is now on the tape. Okay, here we go. Piano then, first overdub. Piano bass specifically. I've got the front off and I've got my tube ribbon mic just there. And as you can see, I've actually muted the strings with some spare piano felt spacers, washers type things crammed there. So you can hear the difference right now between a bass note that rings out normally to one that doesn't. So I'm going to do a bass line. And I think that's going to be kind of nice and keeping in with the 50s charm of this cover material. So yeah, let's get on with that. Okay, so I've got this bass all set up now, and now it's time for the first vari-speed technique, and I'm pitching the drums right all the way down to the end there. For two reasons really. First of all, the drums were just too fast, and second of all, I love the sound of slowed down drums on vari-speed on a tape. So you've got what they are normally, and that's about the tempo I want the track anyway. Okay, so the bass is down. Definitely got a unique sound. It's quite difficult to get it as tight as I'd really like it, but you know, it's going to be mixed in a way where it's going to be, you know, quite low in the mix, and this is just a way of being creative when I don't have Will, my bass player, to, you know, come in and do this. It's kind of too insignificant really, recording this track, to do that, and I don't own a bass guitar at the moment. So then you think, oh, okay, well, let's just do a piano bass then, and it, you know, it might make the track even more charming. I don't know at this stage. The acoustic part is, well, what I used to play on stage. So I've got my Gibson J160E, and I've got my Golden Age Project tube mic, and I'm going to be stood up recording about as far away as you can see from the mic, so I'm not going to be right in on it. It's going to be going on to track 3. It's got a bit of compression on it, nothing else. So let's get on with that. Okay, the guitar's down now. Let's have a quick look at what I've done. So I've EQ'd this here, boosted the low end, and then I've sweeped out the low mids, get rid of the muddiness, and then I've boosted the high. So I've got a kind of like toppy kind of sound, but then it's got like a nice bit of body on it, which I'm very happy with. And there's basically my rhythm track now that's going to be bounced onto here. Cool, so I'm going to get some reverb going and bounce it down. I'm getting ready to bounce here. I've got all the effects turned right up there, which are being sent from here. We're EQing it, taking off the low end, giving it a bit of a tubey boost on the highs. Then we're sending a nice EQ'd signal to the reverb, and then I'm compressing it to make the reverb seem bigger and longer. And then that comes back here on this fader. And then we start to fade the reverb in. Now of course that's a ridiculous amount. The idea is I just want to just get a nice little bit really, so all three things are sharing the sort of same echo space basically, and I'm going to bounce that onto 4 there. Right, the first bounce is done and down.
and it's as together as I could possibly make it. The reverb effects are recorded onto the track. So now I'm going to get some piano down. Okay, the piano's done. Let's have a little listen. Just EQ'd this a little bit like the acoustic in a way. Just rolling off those low mids a little bit. So here is the Vox Continental 1964 original British made wooden key beauty. Just been serviced and worked great. And that is going on track 2. Okay, so I'm going to bounce those two together now, the piano and the organ. I've just got some reverb on both of those down there, and that's coming through just here. And they're going to be bounced onto track 1 right now. Right, the pitch is back down, and our two elements of all the music are here now. Just leaving these 2 tracks for vocals, and then I'm going to be done with this. Right then, vocals. So here we are, singing into the same mic. I don't normally keep the same mic for an entire session, but I just want this song to sound as, you know, vintage as possible, and the time period kind of suits this mic, I think. So yeah, I'm just going to double track the vocals. I'm not going to go with any harmonies or anything like that. You know, I just want to keep this as sort of close to how we used to play it live, really, minus the real bass guitar that would be on stage and not a piano bass. But so yeah, I'm just going to double track these vocals, get some tape delay and a bit of slapback kind of vibe going, and it's going to be done. Heart and soul, I beg to be adored. That's when I lost control and tumbled overboard. Okay, so it's come to the end of the session now, and I've had to make some decisions, and I've had to decide to individually record the tracks into my computer before I go for a final mix. Now bear with me on this one, I've got my reasons. First reason was there's quite a few dropouts on the original bounce, which is kind of spoiling it a little bit. But I've got some seriously nifty way of getting a tape delay live while it's going down. So let me try and explain this. First of all, I've got the direct tape outs coming out there, 1, 2, 3 and 4. And that's going directly separate into my DAW, so, you know, it's just going straight in there. But then I've got the vocals, double track vocals, panned hard to the left, coming out of the left, going into the tape machine, coming back out the tape machine, through the EQ, through the reverb and through the compressor. Then that's coming back onto this fader, but then that's hard panned to the right, and then the right channel out is then being recorded on the computer as a 5th track. It's the only way, it's just the best way I could figure out how to do this. Take a little listen here. Heart and soul, the way a fool would do. I've got my live tape delay coming in there. Obviously I can, got my reverb control there. So this is going to record live onto the computer here, then the tracks are going to be individually there, but then I'm going to actually mix through this desk and then do a final mix onto the tape. Now sometimes, you know, you have to make these decisions. I would have liked to have just gone down this route to go all analog like this. There wouldn't have been a way to get the effect on the double vocals without doing it live whilst mixing. So of course I could do a live mix down and get the tape delay running on one of these additional channels and do that, but then I don't have another tape machine to mix onto, so I had to make that decision. How am I going to get this tape delay involved on the vocal, which is going to be a key part of the sound, but also how am I going to mix onto the tape at the same time? Like, the idea of mixing the tape delay while it was recording did go through my head, and then it's on the track, but I couldn't have it on the doubled because you'd have two delays running if you did them live, if that makes sense, and then it would sound messy. So this is the best way I figured it out. And, you know, never shun digital for just creating that really fucking convenient helping hand. Whew. So I'm going to record this onto the computer now. Okay, so as you can see, there we go. There's our things being digitized, and I'll see you once I'm set up for a mix. Right, here we are on the mixing desk. So I've basically got 3 channels being summed all to mono, all being sent to bus number 2, the same bus. It's, yeah, there's no panning or anything in this. I've got the original bounce, which was the drums, acoustic and the piano bass. I've got all the vocals coming on this fader here, and then I've got the organ and piano there. So So bus number 2 has a send and receive Pultec EQ on it, and I've got this passive tube EQ on the whole thing just to try and balance it all out a little bit, and, you know, going through some tubes, sort of, you know, smooth it all out a little bit and bring up the highs a little bit where I've kind of lost from bouncing down, and try and just like get a bit more focus on the bass. And then that's coming down here onto the tape machine ready to mix. So without further ado, track is Heart and Soul, cover version by me, Andy Pickering. I'm going to hit the tape and you can hear the finished track. Hope you enjoy. Okay, just before I hit play on the tape, I just want to make note that I've notched the pitch up just slightly, so it's going to be the 3rd vari-speed technique that I've used in this. And that's just to make the vocal sound just that little bit sweeter. It's only just very slight. Okay, enjoy.
Held me tight,
Okay, there we go. As usual, you know, I'm very happy with how it turned out. You know, there's always going to be flaws in things like this when you're going just like deleting things and bouncing things down. You know, could have probably used a little bit more low end. Just as a general overall old school mono sounding, you know, rock and roll kind of track, power pop, whatever you want to call it. I'm really happy with how it sounds. You know, all analog effects. I know I had to get the DAW up and sort of finish the track that way because it was just the best decision at the time. And all I did was just do a couple of minor edits where there was dropouts on some of the cymbals. Like 4-track's a bit of a nightmare for that. Sometimes you get a cymbal hit and it kind of cuts out for a second, and stuff like that really annoys me with analog gear. You know, it's not all perfect. And that's why digital's great, because you can just take another little bit of a cymbal from a different part of the song and just, you know, crossfade it in, and it's fixed. I don't get bogged down in editing like entire tracks. I don't edit my vocals. I don't edit my piano takes. I don't edit my guitars. You know, nothing is comped. It's just as it is on the tape. Now with this song, you know, I didn't want to go down the route of saving all the original takes of things and making a really good quality sounding track with different panning and maybe using the bounce as a parallel processing. And I could have saved the original bass and things like that and made it more bassy and more clear. But the idea of this is like, you know, 1950s records, or a lot of stuff in the 60s as well, they use bounce down techniques. They do lose low end on the bass, and sometimes, you know, you can hear like a swampy bass line in 1950s tunes and you're like, what kind of bass is that? Is that an upright bass? It's kind of there, but it's not. And that's kind of what I wanted to do with this. You know, I know it sounds a bit weird saying I want to make something intentionally shitty, but it's kind of like the style of the song, the recording, the intent. I want it to sound exactly pretty much as it did sound at the end. You know, the drums, obviously I had loads of different mics on the drums. I could have made them way more than they are, but that's the point. They're like pushed right down and they just prop up now and again with the fills coming through and things like that when they need to do, and it kind of, yeah, it just works really great. So I'm really happy with it, and it's a bit of a homage, like I say, to the Telmos when we used to play live gigs, and we used to play that as an encore, and it just reminds me of the fun of playing gigs essentially. Okay, so if you like my music in the videos, please hit a like and subscribe. I have started a thing called Pro Vintage Keys, which is a remote keyboard recording service. So if you like my keyboard playing, you like my keyboard sounds, and you want to work with me, please get in touch through the website. Links are all below. If you want to support me directly, please head over and follow me on Bandcamp. You can download my stuff. I have got a CD available from there on the Telmos. Hopefully I'm going to have more physical releases of some of my more recent EPs on there too. Of course, all my music is available on all the streaming platforms as well, so if that's how you consume your music, please check out some of my EPs. That's it for today. Back on the 4-track, absolutely loving it. Big thumbs up for the cassette, and yeah, I'll see you all again soon. Cheers, thanks very much, bye bye.